Abraham, Lynn, and I would like to thank you, all of you, for the wonderful information processes that we are living daily. Thank you. I am very curious about the non-physical world. How do we know the unknown in this body through our being?
Well, the more you reach for thoughts that feel good, the more you practice alignment with that broader perspective, until it is possible to be in this physical body seeing life through the eyes of non-physical. In other words, the only thing that keeps you from seeing life through the eyes of non-physical is you do that thing you do that separates you. And when you do that thing that separates you, you always feel negative emotion. So when you are in the state of truly loving someone, you know, when you are so in love with someone, you're seeing through the eyes of non-physical. That's exactly what non-physical is feeling in that moment. So the more you practice deliberately moving yourself up, subject after subject, up the emotional scale, which is really a product of just releasing resistance, and you'll move naturally. The more you allow yourself to do that, then the more you see life in the way Source sees it.
Do we have counterparts that are there with us, that direct, that attempt to...
Let's rephrase your question to make our answer fit better. Well, in the same way that you are physically expressing in many perspectives, yes, there are many perspectives in the non-physical, and law of attraction causes a coalescing of those energies, just like law of attraction does here. But it's not hierarchy in the sense of rightness and wrongness. It's interest in the moment. In other words, the non-physical realm is a very expansive realm, and you have to understand that every thought that's ever been thought still exists, and law of attraction is causing a coalescing of all of them. And so, yes, when you are focused in non-physical, you will be aware of others.
Were we all with you at one point?
The answer to that is yes, in the sense that we are all non-physical energy, and that non-physical energy is expressing. But in the same way that there are billions of people on this planet who are not necessarily interested in talking about what we are talking about here and now, it is so in every dimension. In other words, law of attraction just matches it up, which is what makes this such an expansive and wonderful experience.
And like the Seth group, do you know of them? Are they with you?
The expression of that which you are calling Seth here in your physical experience is the same non-physical energy as that which you are calling Abraham. In other words, it's family of teachers. We are chips off the same block, so to speak. But even in all of that sameness, the interest of Jerry and Esther as compared to the interest of Rob and Jane is different enough that they have different experiences. Even the audience that gathers, you are the solicitor, you see. And so law of attraction just causes a continual swelling or expansion of the idea.
So our ideas of wisdom that we learn here today expands the mind of God, expands the...
Source expands through what you live. And when life causes you to ask for something uniquely that you have not asked for before, Source expands in that desire and immediately becomes one with that and rides the wave of that momentum and calls you incessantly toward it so that you can ride the same wave. Now hear this. I haven't said this before, but your question is drawing it forth. Think about what we've been saying. So your Source energy coming in, you have experiences that cause you to ask for more, which Source becomes. And now you are this non-physical Source energy expanded, and now your body has reemerged. You are no longer focused in this physical body. You've become non-physical energy, just having come from there. And now you are the most, powerful is not the right word, but present, active, non-physical energy in relationship to that which is physical of all. In other words, just having been physically focused, your interest in that which is physical is so very, very keen. So you could say that those like Abraham who are now visiting with you about the specifics of that which you are about, we are that energy too, you see. Esther had such an amazing experience the other night. They were visiting with friends, and Esther has commonly experienced since her work with Abraham that when they are around a dinner table or somewhere visiting with friends, And one of their friends will mention someone who is dear to them, someone especially that they very much love, who has recently made their transition to non-physical. Esther can often feel that energy begin moving through her body. She can feel the dearly departed, and she can feel their presence and their eagerness to participate in the dinner conversation that's going on. And she can feel their extra pleasure in the food. She can feel them in their adoration of their son or daughter or whoever it is. In other words, one day she said to a dear man whose mother had made his transition, "I can hardly contain myself. I want to crawl across the table and lick your face." In other words, his mother's appreciation of him was so powerful that Esther literally had to restrain herself in not showing the affection that she was feeling for this person. So at dinner the other night, they're visiting and they're talking about this dear shaggy dog, a giant of a dog that had been with them for years and had been there last time Jerry and Esther had been there, and since then the dog has made its transition. And so this lovely couple is talking about their dog, who is presently buried a few feet from where they're having dinner in this magnificent backyard. And Esther felt the energy of this loving beast. And she said, "This is a first for me. I have never had a conversation with someone who was in their conversation able to activate the vibration of the energy of this pet to such a degree that I felt the energy." And then Esther said, with tears flowing, "It is the sweetest energy I have ever tasted. Truly unconditional love." That dog spends a lot of time in that backyard. And it's dead. We're not talking about under the ground. We're talking about romping with the deer. We're talking about chasing the frogs. We're talking about chasing the birds. We're talking about this renewed energy being still focused right where it was. And Esther felt the energy of it as she was there with these focused beings, you see. We are all energy, and to the degree that we are focused, you call it real. We say it's all real. And some of it you call physical and tangible, but it's all real. You're not going anywhere. You are the powerful, amazing, worthy being that you have always been, but you are more expanded now than ever. We want you to begin to let the current carry you. But before you can do that, you have to sort of trust that it's going to carry you to a place that you want to be. And that's so easy for us to say to you because we know what is making the current. We know that it is all of the ideas that you held as non-physical source energy. And we know it's all of the brilliant ideas that your life has caused you to want. You cannot live in a situation without, from your personal, selfish, point of view, desiring something that is beneficial to you. And if it is beneficial to you, then Source says yes to it. And as Source says yes to it and you allow yourself to go with it, now you begin to thrive. If you would just say, "I am where I am," and relax and stop the battle of fighting against where you are, the stream would begin to carry you right away toward the fulfillment of what you're asking for. And that's why we ask you the question as we began. Those unfulfilled desires are still pleasing you? And you lied and said yes. But we want you to say, yes, those unfulfilled desires are pleasing me because I know that they're downstream and I know that the current is taking me there. And I know that it's not a question of if I will achieve them, it's only a matter of when. And the current is flowing, and meanwhile I'm having a glorious time on this river. That's the attitude that we want you to have about your magnificent life here in this physical experience. We've been talking to a lot of you for quite a long time, and you're really getting the hang of this, and you're working to feel as good as you can feel, but you still have the attitude that if I'm here, I'm in a place I shouldn't be, so I should darn well get myself over here as quickly as I can. And we say, sure, you'll feel better when you get here, but this is the thing that we want today to mean to you. If you're here or anywhere along there, if you'll just stop pushing that way, in other words, drop the oars, the current will turn you, and the current will begin to carry you. And friends, that is where the relief factor happens. In other words, in the moment that you stop the struggle, you're going to feel the relief. And the relief will compound itself as the stream will carry you, and it will, we promise you, closer and closer to where you want to be. So why do you point out those who are wrong and rail against them when all you have to do is say, you might want to write this down, it's profound. You're laughing at profound. They've seen us coming. I am where I am. I am where I am. But feel what we're saying to you. I am where I am, and where I am is just fine. I am where I am, because in it being all right, I've stopped paddling against the stream. In it being all right, I've relaxed into the current. In it being all right, the current will take me, because, friends, that current was going before you came into this body. That current adores you. That current knows your worthiness. That current, that source energy current, that source energy that is you has become more because of you. There is unconditional love being flowed to you by source energy. Source never stops calling you. The call is always there. The call is always there. The question is, can you hear the call? I don't think I can. The call of source should sound like harps and angels, shouldn't it? Well, Jerry and Esther have noticed, as they are moving around, flowing in their bus, loving life, loving each other, loving their work, loving the birds, loving the streams, they drove down the Columbia River Gorge. Esther thought she would die as she drove. It was so beautiful. Perfect day, perfect weather, the color of the river, long, long river. It followed the road for hundreds of miles. And as they were in that state of appreciation, just the slightest attention to something else that they loved would send them right over the edge into rapturous emotion of well-being. So if you are somewhere in the vibrational proximity of alignment with source, and you find yet another thing to focus upon that makes you feel wonderful, oh, it does feel like harps and angels. Yes, it does. Call of source. But if you're in despair, the call of source sounds like revenge. If you're in revenge, the call of source sounds like rage. If you're in rage, the call of source sounds like anger, and then less anger, and then overwhelmment and frustration, and then hoping, and then believing, and then knowing, and then joy. In other words, it's relative. It's relative. And the thing that is messing so many of our human friends up is that they are trying to weigh and evaluate and compare the circumstances of life, the conditions of life. We understand why you would do that. You look out and you see something that makes you feel wonderful, and you say, oh, I would support that. I will promote that. I'll put my time and energy and money behind something like that because I approve and agree with that. And then you look over there at something that you don't want and you say, oh, I want not that. And what most of our physical human friends do not understand is that when you say yes to something that you like, you activate a vibration of it within you, and law of attraction brings more of it to you. But when you look at something you don't like and you yell no at it, you activate the vibration of it, which means law of attraction brings it to you. This is a universe based on vibration. It is a universe based on inclusion. There's no exclusion in a vibrational universe that is based upon law of attraction, which means when you see something, whatever it is, and you give it your attention long enough, you will activate it within your vibration. And when you activate it within your vibration, not only does your point of attraction become affected by the activation, but the way you feel is affected by it. So, what did we just say to you? We're going to say something to you we have not said before. So, source energy, that larger part of who you have become, is offering a powerful vibration of well-being that is attracting well-being to you. And if you let that be the vibration of your being, then only well-being can come. But you can hold yourself in resistance to it. But only you can hold yourself in resistance to it. Only you. Isn't that good to know? You're in total control because you have guidance that lets you know how you feel. And little by little, no matter what your beliefs are, you can begin to bridge them or modify them so that you become more of a perfect vibrational match to how Source sees life through your eyes. As humans, do you know sometimes you're sick and you want to be well and you can't figure out how to get there, and so you let them pronounce you terminal, and we say, they can't possibly know about vibration. They can't possibly know that the inner part of you is over there living the wellness that your life has caused you to ask for, and that if you had just let go of those oars and stop paddling upstream and trust in the wellness of your being that is already mostly already achieved. You got no choice, friends, but to go with the flow. You just got to let yourself go with the flow. And when you do, in the moment that you let go, you'll feel the relief and off you go.